Welcome to our first book club about Toni Morrison's first book called The Bluest Eye. I'm not wearing my blazer that I was going to wear, but whatever. This was Toni Morrison's first book. It's it was written in 1970 about her childhood in the 1940s in Lorain, Ohio. I believe that's the place. I'm a little bit nervous now because it's my first book club, so I was concentrating so much on the technology. I wasn't doing so much of the work, but I've done it dozens of times, literally, in face-to-face IRL, in real life, in classroom book clubs that I felt like I can just wing it. I have all the notes in my head, which I do, and I've been composing notes as I've gone along with this. You see me over there? Yes, you can. And so I wanted to share with you a little bit about why I love this book. Yes, I am standing on the rebounder. But no, that's not what it's for. It's just to relax my feet. Normally when I do a book club I'd be sitting down, but that won't work right here, so we're going to just stand for a little while. Why is this is my favorite book. It's also Oprah's favorite book, and she's done quite a few book clubs in her time. But it was my favorite book before it was her favorite book. Okay, I mean, I didn't know it was her favorite book, and frankly, it doesn't matter who thinks it's their favorite book, it's mine. And I used it in my classes, my course, Race, Gender, and Class, and I had many sections over the years of that particular class. And that's what we do at the very end, is we'd have the book club. It's a short book. It's a 2 or 3 day read at most for slow readers, I think. Relatively slow readers. It's not a very long book. And it's about a little girl named Pecola Breedlove. Okay, first of all, Pecola is not a stand-in for Toni Morrison. She's not even the narrator. The narrators are two other little girls who are her sort of friends. Actually, they took in Pecola for a while, one of them did, as a foster child, and that's how they kind of came to know her. And they were really rooting for her. But to say they were her friends might be stretching it, because I don't think Pecola had any friends, for real, but they felt for her, and they rooted for her. She's 11 years old. She's African American. We're in the North. We're not in the South, so there's no, by law, Jim Crow racial etiquette things to deal with. But clearly her school is, I guess, predominantly black. I think this was before Brown versus Board of Education, so yeah. But even amongst black people, there were lighter-skinned people, darker-skinned people, and there were classes of people who had more money, people who had less money, and people who thought they were beautiful and people who thought they were ugly, who were told that by other kids, which is a common thing. And I went through that growing up, as a whole lot of you have, and you're probably beautiful swans now, and I was probably a lot cuter than I thought I was. I know, I look back at pictures, I was cute. Okay, but you believe the other kids completely, and you believe society. But I want to start with a little bit about The Bluest Eye, so you know what you're getting into when you read it. I'm not going to tell you everything that happens. First of all, I can't. Some of it has to do with how much you're ready to read about child abuse. Okay, and that has to do not just with your age. Nobody can be here who's not 13 and over. Okay, that's the rules by YouTube. If you are 12 or under, be gone! Or in Klingon, Gos! Get out. Leave. You're not supposed to be here. Okay, this video is not set for you. And it shouldn't be, because it has something very bad in it that you shouldn't be reading about. You should be asking your parents about it and your teachers maybe, but you shouldn't be reading about it in a book like this. Even though the main characters in the book are all children. Yeah. Or even it's about the earlier lives of some of the adults in the book. Piccolo's family is violent. Physically violent. That's why Piccola is removed from the home and sent to live in a foster home. Her brother takes a lot of beatings. I imagine she did too. Her mother is a housekeeper in a white family. And there's a scene in there that's ghastly for Piccola in that setting that you'll really want to read and to understand her better. I mean, we know the worst thing that happened to her, okay? But that you have to question whether that's the worst thing that happened to her. Because she felt like if she looked like the girl in the Dick and Jane books, where the girl children have yellow hair. Now, I don't mean blonde hair. I mean, their skin is radiating a pink, almost inhumanly pink color. And these are the readers that baby boomers grew up reading. I think they started in the 40s. And Toni Morrisson starts out her first chapter reading Dick and Jane. Writing Dick and Jane again. And at first you're like, what is this? This is Dick and Jane. In fact, in some of the printings, it goes in one unbroken line in the first chapter. And you're like, what is this? Why am I reading this? What is the point of this? And that's the whole point. Dick and Jane isn't real and it doesn't make any sense. Okay? If you compared yourself to those people, you had to be whiter than actual white even is. The hair is a bright yellow. The skin is in a natural pink. And it's creepy as all get out. In terms of gender, race, class, and they didn't even get into sexuality or anything like that. So Piccola's going to school reading about Dick and Jane and Sally. And the dog and the cat, and the mother and the father. Look! It starts out with, look! And that's what happens when you go to school. People start looking at you. And making judgments. Especially if you're new in the school, they really make judgments. So I related to the introduction to the book, and the second introduction to the book, although Toni Morrisson is much too hard on herself. She wrote a magnificent classic, but preferred the books that later led to, international acclaim, the Nobel Prize, this and that. If she had pulled a Harper Lee, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird and then nothing else, and there's a whole story about that, we'll deal with it another time. Perhaps, if it's sociologically relevant. She never wrote another book, Harper Lee.